Hello, friends. Welcome to the 2023 annual meeting of Sunrise Haven Christian Science Nursing Facility in Kent, Washington. I'm Rachel Schutz, a member of the Board of Trustees. Sunrise Haven provides a shelter for the activity of Christian Science nursing governed by the church manual. We have our own vision and mission statements. I see our vision as where we're headed, and our mission as how we get there. Our vision is humanity loved, blessed, healed. And our mission is Christian Science nursing, inspiring, loving, and healing humanity. Our theme for this annual meeting is Let Your Light Shine. The activity at Sunrise Haven, demonstrating the Christ healing of divine science, is a light shining in the darkness. You all get to be a part of that activity, and you'll enjoy our annual meeting this year reporting on all the ways that our light has been shining. You'll hear from another member of the Board of Trustees, our executive director, a few other staff members, and you'll hear a keynote talk by Christian Science practitioner Patti Paul. We're so grateful you're here with us and enjoy celebrating our fruitage from the past year.
Hello, I'm Emma Flavin, the Executive Director here at Sunrise Haven. I'm very excited to share with you the long-awaited completion of our kitchen renovation project. When I first joined the Sunrise Haven team in January of 2022, we were faced with an overdue requirement to replace our residential-style kitchen hood with a commercial-grade fire suppression system, and our need for compliance with the state was immediate. This was during a time of post-pandemic supply chain shortages, grueling project approval processes, and denial from multiple contractors who weren't accepting work from small businesses. Nonetheless, we took on the work with unified trust and perseverance, knowing that ultimately it was a blessing for Sunrise Haven and therefore a worthy project deserving of quality upgrades and improvements throughout. It has been a long and labored journey to get where we are today, and we are proud to show you the beautiful results. Thank you to our donors who made this project possible, and those of you who prayerfully supported our progress the whole way. In other news at Sunrise Haven, our volunteer program is back in action, and I invite you to take part if you are interested in reading to our patients, serving as reader for our Wednesday testimony meetings, or bringing other talents to you such as craft projects, musical performances, or activities that interest you. Our Rest and Study program also remains available to you if you or someone you know are looking for a quiet place for Christian Science study and focus, away from the everyday distractions of busy life. Whether for a day or a week, we are here to provide you the peaceful atmosphere you need. Lastly, I want to thank Mary Collins for her dedication and commitment to Sunrise Haven as our business manager and chief happiness officer. Her unbridled joy and love for family values and connection with everyone around her is unparalleled. She recently relocated to California to be nearer to family, and it goes without saying that she will be dearly missed. Thankfully, we have been blessed with a seamless transition and now welcome Bonnie Demery into the role. Simultaneously with Bonnie's hire was the onboarding of Bob Litzkow, our new maintenance staff. Both Bonnie and Bob bring a breadth of experience and knowledge to their roles and a love for serving others that beautifully complement our Christian Science nursing values and vision. To sum it up, our project and personnel report is beautifully evidenced in the following portion of Hymn 176. Let there be light, and light was there, clear as the word that declared it. Healing and peace to all it gave, who in humility shared it.
Hello, my name is Kristin Jamerson, and I'm currently serving as the chair of the Board of Trustees of Sunrise Haven. We're so grateful you joined us today. Thank you to Rachel for hosting us, and to Emma Flavin, our executive director, and her team for bringing this annual meeting together. I want to take a minute to acknowledge our colleague, George Gregory from Hamilton, Montana. George passed away last month. He was serving as chair, and he brought such kindness, diplomacy, and gentleness to this work. He is a Christian Science practitioner and was constantly listening and for the guidance of Divine Mind in his work here with the Board of Trustees. If I could express just a fraction of the grace and discernment that he brought to this work, I'd be very grateful. I want to talk about our other board members. We have Trinka Wasik from Bainbridge Island, Madeline Wiley from Redmond, Washington, Beverly Smith from Anchorage, Alaska, and you met Rachel Schutz. She's from Olympia, Washington. We have a new board member, Steve Glover, who also hails from Olympia, and he's been a member of that church for over 40 years, serving in lots of capacities. Before that, during that, Steve served as a civil engineer to the federal government. And for the last 20 years, Steve and his wife have operated and owned a small retail store. Steve has 2 adult children and 1 grandchild who he adores. And we're very grateful to have Steve joining us on the Board of Trustees. There's a passage in the manual of the Mother Church that Mary Baker Eddy wrote that really centers the work we're doing at Sunrise Haven, and we're using this as one of our metaphysical bases for our strategic plan. I'd just like to read it to you. It's on page 92. Healing the sick and the sinner with truth demonstrates what we affirm of Christian Science, and nothing can substitute this demonstration. I recommend that each member of this church shall strive to demonstrate by his or her practice that Christian Science heals the sick quickly and wholly, thus proving this science to be all that we claim for it. That's governing our board and all the work at Sunrise Haven. I'd like to tell you a little bit about how we do our work. And we generally meet once a month, sometimes on site at the facility in Kent, Washington, and other times on Zoom. And we are a governing board, not involved with operations. We are dedicated to fulfilling the mission of Sunrise Haven, which is Christian Science nursing, inspiring, loving, and healing humanity. We ask a lot of questions, we review the financials, we do long-range planning, and we have the fiduciary responsibility that a board has for an organization. One of the things that we've accomplished this year is developing a new strategic plan to cover the years 2023 to 2028. We drafted this plan with our executive director and have sent it out for comments in-house at Sunrise Haven and now out to stakeholders for their review. We hope to ratify this strategic plan by the end of the year, and we will post it on our website so everyone can access it and see the 7 goals that we've set for ourselves and the action plans that enable us to achieve those goals. The executive director is responsible for its implementation. So we're really grateful for this guidebook for us to follow during the next 5 years. We are working on identifying representatives from each branch church in our 5-state region. We serve Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, and Alaska. So if you're a church member out there that is not represented by Sunrise Haven, we'd love to have you contact us. This helps communicate the activity, the opportunity, and the healing that's going on at Sunrise Haven. So please be in touch with us. We recently reviewed our policy to accept Medicare as a form of payment. And we did this in response to the patients that need to or want to rely on Medicare at Sunrise Haven. And often this is a comfort and an assurance to family members who are supporting their loved ones. And so we've decided to continue to accept Medicare as a form of payment at Sunrise Haven. We're excited about the executive director, Emma Flavin's leadership and all the projects that she's undertaken this year. You'll hear from her about the kitchen remodel. We've purchased new vehicle, new signage. We've updated the landscaping outside. She's restructured management. And of course, the care and dedication that she brings to quick and whole healing at Sunrise Haven. We're very grateful for Emma as our executive director. I'm going to read a little bit about our financial standings, and this is taken from the report by our treasurer, Rachel Schutz, that was published in our fall newsletter. I'm just going to read some of the highlights that Rachel published. Like most Christian Science nursing facilities, Sunrise Haven operates at a deficit and depends on contributions, grants, bequests, and investment income to cover the gap between operating expenses and income from our services. Mary Baker Eddy says, Christian Scientists have no craft that is in danger. That's from the message for 01. Sunrise Haven has always been solvent. Our expenses for fiscal year 2021 to 22 totaled $1,639,000. The combined income from our services and contributions totaled $1,053,000 and covered nearly all of our expenses. We will provide our fiscal year 2022 to 23 financials in our spring newsletter, so you can look forward to seeing that. The expression of divine love going on daily at Sunrise Haven is lifting up the lives of our guests, our staff, and the world. And you are invited to participate in this spiritual uplift by contributing to our tax-exempt organization, by volunteering your time and your prayers. And we consider you all part of the team providing Christian Science healing to the world. And we're grateful for your support. Thank you, Rachel, for that report. Board members often share why they're drawn to serve as volunteers at Sunrise Haven, and I asked our recent new member, Steve Glover, if he would share why he responded to the call to serve at Sunrise Haven. And he said, "My perspective of Sunrise Haven was primarily formed when I brought my father to Sunrise Haven. The immediate sense of love, supportive calmness, and joy met us at the door. Supporting this divinely inspired activity was an easy decision." So I'd like to close my report with a verse from a poem written by James Corbett. It's hymn 601 in our hymnal. Of one accord, of one mind, our mission, our healing mission we find. We pray together, our lives in worship bind. The Comforter is with us. Its presence here assures us, I am guiding you and uniting you through the love of God's Son. I am blessing you, I am healing you, I am making you one. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we welcome questions, comments, and feedback at any time. But I hope you have a fuller sense of the healing work that's going on at Sunrise Haven. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. We're going to talk a little bit today about letting your light shine. I'm going to start by reading from the Bible, Matthew. Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost his savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under foot of men. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on an hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works, and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments, and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I say unto you, that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, Thou shalt not kill, and whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment. But I say unto you, that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment, and whosoever shall say to his brother, Raka, shall be in danger of the council. But whosoever shall say, Thou fool, shall be in danger of hell fire. Therefore, if thou bring thy gift to the altar, and there remembrance that thy brother hath aught against thee, leave there thy gift before the altar, and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer the gift. This citation really says a lot. Letting our light shine. I was at an association one time when the teacher turned off the lights of the auditorium. He had given us each one little tiny pen light. And when he turned the lights off in the auditorium, he turned his on and we could see him clearly. Then he asked the right side of the auditorium to turn their lights on and we could see more. And then he asked the audience on the left side to turn their lights on. The darkness dissipated. Any hidden lack was turned into abundance of clarity. The citation also mentions not killing, sort of like not putting others down if you don't agree with them, not breaking a commandment, like loving your neighbor as yourself. What gift can we all bring to the altar? Love. Offer this to each other, from the admissions procedure to the executive director to the superintendents to the nurses to all the staff at Sunrise Haven, and above all to the patients themselves. Love your neighbor as yourself. In other words, love yourself as God loves you. Love your neighbor as God loves them. Love, love, love. Let me tell you a bit about myself. I was a camp counselor at Camp Newfound in Maine starting in 1972. And there was a Christian Science nurse at that camp. Although I never needed her services, I was intrigued. I remember her name, but I didn't know her well. But as a recent college graduate, I had spent 3 winters teaching 3 to 6-year-olds in Snowmass, Colorado, skiing, and the rest of the year teaching at a daycare, and spent 11 glorious weeks as a counselor on the beautiful Long Lake in Maine. Then I taught outdoor education to 5th graders in Western Massachusetts. Wait, I had graduated from college with a degree in interior design, working with colors, textures, furnishings, and mostly light. Light from the outside coming in, and of course, light fixtures. Well, how was it that I was working with children now? I was listening for direction. I was being led to my new career. I never stopped painting pictures or helping anyone who asked about their decor. However, the decor of a room was switched to the decor of thought, helping individuals where they needed it most, caring for their well-being and uplifting their thought, as well as my own. Maybe I could be a nurse and work at this place I loved someday as a nurse at camp. Long and the short of it, I did get my training, became journalisted, and eventually I worked 3 summers at a Christian Science camp as the nurse, and 1 summer at another camp as the nurse for family camp. Being a nurse, I met some wonderful nurses, worked with some hardcore superintendents, and the executive directors, they were sort of different. But if we didn't all work together, there never would have been healing going on. There might always be stupid interruptions of error. I'll get back to that concept pretty soon. Stupid interruptions of error, or animal magnetism, creeping in upon progress. But the long and the short of it was knowing that healing was possible, no matter who we were working with, no matter who the patient was, or who the co-workers were. So, these stupid interruptions of interruptions, what might they be? The need for physical healing, or the need for overcoming stress, the need for fixing some relationship, or the need to handle animal magnetism. As a practitioner, there was one night I got a call from the nurse at night, a nurse from Sunrise Haven, about my patient who was having a rough time and not able to sleep. Now, I must say that getting a call at 2 a.m. in the morning, I'm not totally awake when the phone rings. But immediately Divine Mind was working with me, and when I heard myself say, well, tell the patient not to go to the plain of Ono, nor to go to the land of Nod, he replied, okay, thanks. I hung up and immediately thought, oh my gosh, does he know what I meant? Or does the patient know what I meant? I did pray with this concept of the unknown, what air was trying to take away, and how air was trying to take away the peace of this dear one. I looked up the plain of Ono. You know those dudes, Tobiah, Sanballat, and Geshem, those dudes bringing mischief to the area. And it really does say mischief in the book of Nehemiah. Mischief, or as I would like to think, secret intelligence. Good grief, what is so secret about that form of mischief? This is animal magnetism, plain and simple. Later in the chapter, there is reference to wanting to build a wall. Now, this wasn't or isn't to keep others out from fear itself, that something might happen that is bad, but it is billed as a protection from animal magnetism of these dudes and their mischief. What these guys wanted the people to listen to were only those feisty little imps. These imps trying to talk the people into following them and their erroneous suggestions. I remember at one annual meeting of the Mother Church, the new president was talking about Ed Sullivan. You know, that TV personality. He had this little mouse named Topo Gigio who would jump up on his shoulder and he would whisper in Mr. Sullivan's ear. We couldn't hear what he was saying, but what Mr. Sullivan told us, it was sort of funny. But the president said, animal magnetism is sort of like that. Whatever animal magnetism wants to get across just sort of creeps up on us in various sundry ways, like an obscene phone call. Are we going to be duped into being afraid, disgusted, or drawn into these errors? The simple response would be to just hang up and to know that only one God is in complete control. I had an experience like this soon after that annual meeting. A middle of the night phone call. So this was back in the days when we only had one phone in our homes, and mine happened to be in the kitchen. You know, all the way on the other side of the house was my bedroom. So the phone rang in the middle of the night. I got up and I walked into the kitchen and I answered the phone. Hello, this is Patti. Because, you know, being a nurse on call 24 hours a day, I had to be nice. Well, I wanted to be nice. And answer kindly. Well, on the other end of the phone was some heavy breathing and a very sensuous voice. I was so angry for being woken up in the middle of the night, I merely hung up. Well, when I got back into bed, a light bulb in my thought turned on to that talk by the president of the Mother Church. It was only an imp, and I could put to use the citation he had shared from Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures by Mary Baker Eddy. Subject sickness, sin, and death to the rule of health and holiness in Christian Science, and you ascertain that this science is demonstrably true, for it heals the sick and sinning as no other system can. Well, I thought, I could subject this fellow who called to the holiness of the truth. And guess what? He called the next night. My response this time was to tell him that he was indeed the loved man of God. And I didn't have time to finish my thoughts because he hung up on me, but not before he heard the truth about himself. Well, what might be our feisty and crafty little imps we are dealing with? Sickness or sin, or even the suggestion of death? Where shall we go? Shall we see the light that is always available? Or shall we be duped into the fear of the suggested symptoms and wait? Wait for what? Did Cain wait? Who knows about Cain and Abel? Another example of animal magnetism at work. Oh my. If these two were truly honest and communicated with each other and their parents, then animal magnetism never would have had a leg to stand on. So tell me, why did Cain end up going to the land of Nod? Oh yeah, he killed his brother. My, he killed. What might that signify for us today? Talking about disease, killing our health. Talking about the crummy meatloaf at dinner. Loving our neighbor as ourselves. The cook. Talking about our work situation in a complaining way. Killing harmony that needs to prevail. For any one of these items in our mental gossip column, following the true great love commands given to us by Christ Jesus, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. Can you just imagine that in our lives, if we truly lived by these two great love commandments, that all forms of animal magnetism would be disarmed? Knowing there is only one God, loving him, cherishing him, listening to him, letting divine mind take the helm, and loving our neighbor. Is it an angel message or whomever comes to help us when we have a need? Maybe like the night nurse? We need the light to be switched on with an ever-ready battery. My light indeed had been switched on, and I listened. After working with these truths, I was finally able to fall back to sleep. I did call Sunrise back before the 7 a.m. shift and talked to the nurse. I sheepishly asked him if he understood about the land of Nod and the plains of Ono, and if my patient did. He said he did understand, and the patient did as well, and she went right to sleep. Truth prevailed. I've thought of this example many times. Even out of a deep sleep, I was able to listen and was led to say just the right thing, and then had the ability to go back to sleep myself. Was this an example of letting my light shine? I have cousins in Juneau, Alaska. They've lived there all their lives. They came down to the lower 48 almost every year, and we had great times with them. On one visit, talking with them, they shared about the wildflower called fireweed. They explained to me that the flowering of this plant begins at the bottom of the blossom and makes its way up to the top, sort of like gladiolus. The blossom starts at the bottom, and then the buds are all the way at the top, and then they just start flowering until it gets to the top. And when it gets to the top, well, wait a minute. The flower itself, or the plant, has to have the help of water, soil, and what else? Light. Light. Then when the fireweed has finished its course, blossoming all the way to the tip top, then it dies back. Then my cousin said, winter's just around the corner. But wait, if it died back, then what? Spring comes, and so does the renewed fireweed. It had dispersed seeds, and after many seasons, one could have a whole field of this beautiful rose-colored flower. We too, when working through any problem, we can know that our foundation, soil, is truth. Our water is ever available, and our sunshine, as Mrs. Eddy says, the symbol of soul governing man, of truth, life, and love. Our understanding of this truth, life and love is our light. Let's know that this understanding, like the perennial fireweed, is a definite, renewable resource. This is the ever-presence of light. And we too can always let our light shine. We can smile, laugh, sing, pray with understanding each other as we unite as brothers and sisters, as sentinels of truth. We are strong when understanding the light. Light is in 5 definitions in the Glossary of Science and Health, and each one of these definitions has a little bit more about the character of light. Number 1, burial. Corporeality in physical sense put out of sight and hearing, annihilation. Submergence in spirit, immortality brought to light. Number 2, day. The irradiance of life, light, the spiritual idea of truth and love. And the evening and the morning were the first day. The objects of time and sense disappear in the illumination of spiritual understanding, and mind measures time according to the good that is unfolded. This unfolding is God's day, and there shall be no night there. Number 3, Jesus, the highest human corporeal concept of the divine idea, rebuking and destroying error and bringing to light man's immortality. Number 4, morning, light, symbol of truth, revelation, and progress. Number 5, Urim, light. The rabbins believed that the stones in the breastplate of the high priest had supernatural illumination. But Christian Science reveals spirit, not matter, as the illuminator of all. The illuminations of science give us a sense of the nothingness of error, and they show the spiritual inspiration of love and truth to be the only fit preparation for admission to the presence and power of the Most High. Our understanding of truth, life, and love, our understanding of God, our understanding of Christ Jesus, our understanding of Mary Baker Eddy, our understanding of our boss and fellow workers, our understanding of our neighbors, our understanding is our light. We are all in this together, letting our light so shine on each other, for each other, and with each other. Go out into your day with brightness. I would like to close with 2 poems written while I was still in nurses training. I love these poems from the Christian Science Journal in 1979. They both really gave to me, as a Christian Science nurse, a gift of praise from the author I've never met, but his words in the poems let me know that progress is inevitable, and it was because of loving care given. I just felt embraced by his gratitude for us nurses. So like the nurses, I sincerely want to give thanks today, especially to the nurses of Sunrise Haven. A Student Nurse by Richard Howard. Your tributes may not blazon forth with trumpets, the world may not always march in your parade, but remember this in battle's heat or night stillness, we have great, great need of you. No, it's as simple as that. No one else caught the impelling movement or this healing revelation, does what you are doing, fulfills what you are fulfilling, or is what you have been called to, the quietness of glory is yours, the witnessing of Christ, and we have great, great need of thee. And to a Christian Science nurse, also by Richard Howard. Christly assurance, bringing needed light to fear-filled consciousness. You are much, oh so much more than only soothing hands could be. For you start not what is wrong, but what is right with me. Where else could I be seen, right in the midst of error's dream, to be what I am, soul circumferenced, wholesome man? Love's own presence fills your thought of me. In your sight, I have no fear to be misunderstood, misseen. I take comfort in this fact, and in this light, I am free from error's dream, upheld and blessed. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Scott, and this is Pam Greene, and we're co-directors of Christian Science Nursing at Sunrise Haven. We were going to start by talking about Christian Science Nursing. How should we begin?
Well, Jen, how does Christian Science Nursing allow you to let your light shine?
Well, I love Christian Science Nursing because it provides so many opportunities for growth, and letting my light shine is just one of them. The other thing that I love about being co-director in particular is the opportunity to see everyone's light shine. The patients, the Christian Science nurses, and I love being able to bring out their own unique way of letting their light shine.
That's great.
So
So you have a story you were going to tell us, right?
yes,
All right.
this story is about growth in grace. I had a patient one time. At this time, I was supervisor on the floor to decide who was going to take which patient. The patient that I was supposed to help was so upset that the other nurse was not her patient. I mean, the other nurse was not her nurse.
She didn't want you to be her nurse, in other words.
That's right.
Right.
So somehow I had to help this person, and she didn't really want my help. So what was I supposed to do? Well, the great thing about nursing is that you pray through every situation. And I knew that my worth was not dependent on somebody else's view. And all the qualities that I have come from God. And I was able to just be quiet and listen. And I was able to give the care that was needed. And everything was harmonious. There was no more hurt feelings or anything. So that was a wonderful opportunity. So Pam, can you tell us some about Christian Science nurses training?
Sure. So we follow the curriculum that Lavoisier of Switzerland has given us. It's an accredited program with the Christian Science Nursing Commission. And What it does is it provides one-on-one training at the convenience of the student and the instructor. So there's 4 levels, and there's a classroom portion for each level that's approximately 2 weeks long, and then that's followed by 2 weeks of shoulder-to-shoulder mentoring, and then mentoring as needed until the student's ready for the next level. And it's a great opportunity for students to let their light shine, to work with patients, and to get lots of help in their growth forward. The manual bylaw, it gives us our guidelines of what we need to learn. We start off with that demonstrable knowledge of Christian Science practice. And what we learn is taking proper care of the sick. And so with that demonstrable knowledge and that knowing how to take proper care of the sick, that we demonstrate practical wisdom, so that we are able to assess the need of the patient and know how to meet that need. So it's a really great process. I love seeing the students learn and get that really solid metaphysical basis for their Christian Science nursing practice. We use Science and Health as our textbook for learning Christian Science nursing, because Mrs. Eddy covers all the subjects that we encounter in Christian Science nursing. She mentions everything, and it's really enlightening to look through the textbook and see how she addresses each metaphysical need. So, yeah, we love it.
You should see her Science and Health that has so many colored sticky notes in it, marking every single topic that you can think of relating to Christian Science nursing.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so there's citations about mobility, there's citations about life, and just, yeah, it's all there.
What was one of those questions that you had about helping people?
Oh, I guess one of the things that we all come up against in our practice of Christian Science is that, there's such a thought of, we're all very independent sort of people, aren't we? I mean, we're expected to do our own study and prayer. And I think there also needs to be a sense of balance with community, and having the courage to ask for help when you need it, and to realize that when you're asking for help, you're doing the other person a service as well, as you're allowing them to let their light shine to help you. So it's one of the joys of Christian Science nursing. Everyone loves to help their fellow man, and when we ask for help, we're allowing them to do that.
That's right. And one of the questions that sometimes comes up is, when is it appropriate to ask for help? How do I know when to do that? And Mary Baker Eddy gives us guidance in Science and Health about that on page 420. She says, if students do not readily heal themselves, they should early call an experienced Christian Scientist to aid them. And that can be, it doesn't say practitioner specifically, it just says an experienced Christian Scientist. I field calls from all kinds of people asking for help, and one of the parts of my job is to discern the need of the time and figure out if it's right to try to find a Christian Science nurse to go to the home, just to give suggestions of care. needs, to meet care needs.
Yeah. You also help people over the phone, don't you?
Yes, this takes place mostly over the phone. Sometimes there are people that come into Sunrise as an outpatient for a bandage. And sometimes the need is for admission to Sunrise. But it is a joy to just be able to help talk through things with people, and sometimes that's all that's needed.
Right. You can offer suggestions to someone that's taking care of a loved one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's Christian Science nursing too. We're all helping each other.
But a big part of this is trusting in God, who is really caring for everyone. It's God, and listening for ideas that comes from God. One idea that just came to me while I was thinking about this meeting is humbly trust your father motherhood. I knew that was part of a hymn, but I didn't know which one. I had to look it up, and it turns out it's from hymn 502 in the gray hymnal, and it's sometimes known as the Christian Science nursing hymn because just listen to the words. It relates to what I've been talking about. I place them in your hands, dear God. I trust them to your care, the one who marks the sparrow's fall and numbers every hair. You cherish and you guard them all from snares of every kind. No false responsibility disturbs my peace of mind. Your love, far greater than my own, provides for them all good. This have I learned, to humbly trust your father motherhood. And that idea of the responsibility, placing them in God's hands. The responsibility is not mine. It's not the Christian Science nurses. It's from God. And when we listen, we know what ideas to share.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I mean, that idea of whose responsibility are we in the care of? I mean, whose responsibility is it to care for us? Is it to care for ourselves? Is it our responsibility to care for others? Or is divine love meeting all needs? And so I think part of getting over asking for help when you need it is realizing divine love is taking care of us and not we ourselves. There can be kind of a sense as we age that we become useless or unable to help ourselves. And there can be slight, I've seen in myself and other people, just some embarrassment over, well, why aren't I demonstrating over this? And I love this article from the 1944 issue, this is September, of the Christian Science Journal by Helen Tripp, where she says, the opportunity to express God, to think rightly, and to be active in doing good never ends or decreases. And so I like to see that, not just in myself, but in my patients, that everyone is progressing and learning and overcoming. And progress is the law of God, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So we see that every day in our practice, don't we?
We do.
I'm Pam Greene. I'm the trainer of Christian Science nursing here at Sunrise Haven. And I have with me here Daniela Acosta.
Yes.
And she is a contract nurse here for us at Sunrise. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
So I loved your story about how you got into Christian Science nursing. Could you share that with us?
Sure. I was 10 years ago, I was a volunteer in a Christian Science facility. And that time, someone loving close to me and say, I think you need to be a Christian Science nurse. And then in that time, I was not ready for that. So the next time, she asked me the same thing. Daniela, I think you to be a Christian Science nurse. So I look at her and I smile and I say, I don't think so. I'm not ready for that. So I go home and I call practitioner and I told her what was gonna happen when I was volunteer. So she told me and I say, God is calling you. And then in that time I was living in another city. So I was talking with practitioner and I told her, I don't know what to do. And then practitioner say to me, we're gonna pray for that, we're gonna pray for the answer. And I said, but I have an apartment and I have a lease. So the next day I go to my apartment and then I ask the lady when is my lease is gonna be over. So the girl, she told me, well, it's over. Do you like to sign up for one more year? And I said, no. So I go back to home and I call practitioner and I say, what do you do? And she answered me back and said, nothing. It's God is calling you. So in 1 week, I sell my furniture, I sell everything, and I moved to the other state over there to do my nursing training. My nursing training. And then I understand that time is God was calling me, is obedient, the message. It was 3 times in my head, in my ear sometimes, is you have to be a nurse. And it's a beautiful experience to be a Christian Science nurse, and we are nurses and it's the way God made us,
Yeah.
And we do love, we receive love, and we have beautiful experience in Christian Science. And I'm so happy.
Oh, we're so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I had a similar situation where I was working and it's like the call came. You're ready for something new.
Ready for something new.
And it's beautiful, isn't it? How God calls us and we never know what it's going to be, but it's always beautiful, isn't it? How it works out.
Yeah, we working with patients and we close for God, we close to Him and we work for Him to bring the healing.
Yes, we bring that atmosphere of spiritual expectancy and healing, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today.
Well, you're welcome. I'm so grateful for being here.
Yes, thank you.
Well, hi, I'm Tanya O'Gorman, and I'm a nurse here at Sunrise Haven, and this is Elizabeth, and I have a question for you, Elizabeth.
Okay.
Just wondering, how does Christian Science nursing inspire you? What do you love about Christian Science nursing?
I love the idea here at Sunrise Haven, the fact that we provide just a haven for people to come and really kind of focus on the work that they need to do without the daily distractions of life. And I love being a part of that and being a witness to the wonderful healings that happen here. And I love that, the Christian scientists that come here also help us and inspire us, It's not one-sided.
Right. Yeah.
Healing happening there.
Oh, I know.
So yeah.
Great. Yeah. So, yeah, they really help us and inspire us too. It's amazing how much they help us grow, spiritually. And so.
Okay. And so, what about you, Tanya? How's Christian Science nursing been a blessing to you?
It's just the spiritualization of thought is very enlightening, and there's just such a tremendous amount of growth that takes place, with each patient that comes to us, and I remember my first case, back in the 80s that I went on, and I remember there was a lot to unsee. And I remember just, diving in and just learning, doing concordance work and just learning about, who God is and who man is and our relationship to him. And just thinking about the tremendous growth that took place just with that one case that I was on. And then I just started thinking about just, our journey as Christian Science nurses. And I envisioned this ladder, and every patient that comes to you is kind of a rung on the ladder that just helps us spiritually. And, hands down, it's really just the spiritual growth that has been a blessing.
Yeah, I love that idea of the ladder because it's just growth. It's a visualization of growth.
Right.
That's a really beautiful picture.
Yeah.
That it brings us all closer together, right? What benefits one benefits all, and so all these experiences make us more, I don't say better nurses, but it just helps us along our journey.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
Cool.
So.
Well, thanks for sharing that
Yeah,
story.
you bet. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us to acknowledge and celebrate the demonstrations of divine truth that have been going on at Sunrise Haven. The purpose of these good works, as always, are to turn humanity's attention to God and what God is doing for us. You get to be part of lifting up the light here at Sunrise Haven and illuminating the darkness for the world. You can join us here at Sunrise as a volunteer or as a financial contributor, and always as a prayer partner, cherishing the Christ science that is bringing healing to the world and contributing to the cause together with us. Thank you so much for your love and your prayers, and let your light shine.